Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
YMAX versus WPAY. Who is the better fund of funds? We're going to find out today on today's video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Doug, the Retirement Guy. We got a nice interesting one for you today is YMAX versus WPAY. Who is the better fund of funds? Who's going to give us the best performance, the best out across the board? Let's get into today's video. Notice to all viewers, past performance does not guarantee future results. The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. So if you need any financial help, always contact a financial advisor. In the red corner, we have YMAX, the YieldMax Universal Fund of Option Income ETFs. It is an exchange-traded fund that mostly invests in total market equity. The fund is actively managed, and it's a fund of funds that invests in shares of the YieldMax ETFs. Now, what they do here is they do a synthetic cover call strategy on all of the YieldMax Universal funds. Now, this thing launched in January of 2024. So we're basically a year and 3/4 into the experiencing of this. Now, the fund of funds, as you can see here, there is a listing of over 25 different funds that they actually use. And they're so well balanced that realistically, the max is at 3.8, so we're going to call this, it's no more than 4% across the board on funds. So these guys are constantly working hard to rebalance themselves, to keep the thing in line, and you can see the pinwheel on the side that every fund out there tries to maintain in that 4% category. Now, one of the big things to remember on this one, though, these are using all of YieldMax's monthly incomes, not weeklies. So they do a fund of funds of monthlies. So that makes a little bit of a difference there. When we take a look at the year-to-date return, if you look at the line that it has, now we're going to talk bad. Everyone's going to talk, and they hear it all the time about NAV erosion on this one. Well, year-to-date, it's down 23.71%. 6 months, it's down 10.34%. 1 month, it's up 1.88%. Now, here's what you have to look at and understand. This thing took a massive drop on the April 2nd for the tariffs. It has come back out of the April tariffs and rebounded. Now, most of your stuff is capped. The upside is capped. So this is not going to take a quick increase back up to top levels. It takes a long time for each and every one of these. And when you're dealing with 25 funds that are all capped, you're going to have a long time trying to grow and rise your value of your fund. When we take a look at this a little closer, a little microcomputer, last 30 days, we're seeing a slight increase over the last 30 days. Now we say it's 1.88%. But this thing here was down in that, about 1275, and now as of today, it's pushing the $13 level. So again, we have it that it's showing that YMAX is starting to engage and starting to get the increases. And part of it is the volatility is not as strong as it once was, which means they're able to keep their shares longer. They're able to hold things longer. It does hurt on the dividend side, on the income side, but overall, this thing is starting to have some growth and get back to certain levels that we would love to see it at. Now, talking about, let's take a look at the YMAX's income. When we look at the dividend payout of this, you're getting a fairly smooth, I'll call it a smooth, bumpy road, if that makes any sense to anybody at all. When this thing switched over, we were pretty much have been at the same level right across the board. Now, sometimes we'll pop ahead of that 25 cent, but we'll get right back down to that 12 cent. So across the board, this thing has an average of 15 cents per share since it's been paying weekly. The dividend yield over 12 months is 66.89%, and it's paid out in dividend cash of $8.70. So those numbers are fairly decent with a $13 stock. That means basically a year and a half you'd have your money back if you invested into this. But now you can count on 15 cents per share per week. Even though I know the number's off because last week was only 12.9 and we've had a couple of weeks of that, we have to look at the big 12-month package of where's the average competing of. The other thing that we looked at is because it's got some history and we can do some things with it, the total return, which in our computers comes back with the dividend minus the 1-year growth, is totaling about 40%. Now we look at the other ones, the experts out there to put out their information. They're saying since inception, 26.12%, 1 year 31.15%, year to date 16.4%. Now that does include all the dividends, so I don't want to mislead anybody. That includes dividends across the board, similar to what we use in our computer simulator, and so we come up close, but a little better as of 40.09%. Now let's talk about the blue corner, the competitor, WPAY. Now WPAY again comes out of the Roundhill group, and this one is done for the weekly pays of the universal ETF. Very similar, this is a fund of funds that tracks the equal weight indexed on weekly pays in a single stock ETF. It's offered by Roundhill. It aims to fluctuate the weekly dividend payments based on the distributions from those funds. So WPAY came out in September of 2025. So this thing is brand new. It's only 18 days old and we're already putting it into the ring with the masters. So now the big thing I say here, these are all weeklies. So there's a big difference between WPAY and YieldMax right off the bat. It's weeklies from here versus monthlies. So you look at theirs, they're pretty much balancing too. They don't have as many funds, but they're working right now to get you into that total package. And that total package will get you about 6%. You know, some will push to that 7%, but very, very well balanced. Now, I read up in this in the portfolio, the whole shoot match, they rebalance every month to keep the thing right in line with the numbers that you see. So not as many funds to work with and constantly rebalancing. So we have a better idea what is going on. Now we take a look at the performance. So the performance right now, coming out of the chute, they're already year to date at 6 months and 1 year. Like I said, they're 18 days old. We're really about 4.52% growth in their fund. So we are seeing that slight increase over that 18 days that we're pleased with. Normally with Roundhill packages, we will see them start off at the high number, as we see here, about $50 a share, and the thing will drop off down to a program. We question this and say, is this what this thing's going to do, or we just got so much excitement in the air right now that WPAY is holding its own just because of people buying into it, thinking this is the future and this is the greatest thing in the world down the road? I don't know. So we always say this thing needs time, but we're going to compare it today, exactly what is going on to give you a better idea. When you take a look at the distribution history, well, guys, they've only paid one distribution out. Now, we go to Roundhill, and they give us a yield that they're looking at is about 48.84%. One payment out at 54 cents, so their average is 54 cents. We're going to see this later on this week of exactly what the numbers are going to come in at. So we can see their next dividend payout, and we'll be reporting that as well. So if you take the total return, which is their dividend plus their 1 year growth, which is, unfortunately only 18 days, it gives you a 53.36 total return. So very strong numbers, but like again saying, that way WPAY does not have as much data and enough history for us to really dial in tight onto it. So let's go to heads-to-head. YMAX versus WPAY. Who's going to win? Well, first off, we got the age. I got to give a lean over to the age on YMAX because they've been through the good times, the bad times, and we're watching how they recover. And they're showing that the April recovery Even though it was slow because it's capped, definitely had some wins back on coming up from there. The makeup, monthly versus weekly. Personally, I love weeklies better than I like monthlies. And the reason for I say that it comes into is you get more volatility. You're going to have more trading off. You're going to have more options to generate more income. And I would lean more towards the weekly side of it. Total return, 40.09% to the 53.36%. You got to go with the WPAY again with the 53.36 with the asterisk that you have to understand that's only 18 days worth of trading. It hasn't lost its NAV. It hasn't lost anything. It's actually gained. While you have some loss on the YMAX, you have some serious stuff, about 20% loss. So if you don't have good solid income, then the NAV loss is going to affect your bottom line. When we look at that bottom line, the dividend yield at 66.89 versus 48.84. Well, unfortunately, you got to go to the YMAX. You got to give the credit to the guys who are producing the income. Even though they're producing it with the loss of a value, they still hold a better overall picture across the board. Now, when we get into dividends, we're dealing with a 15-cent dividend to a 54-cent dividend. Right off the bat, you'd have to say the 54-cent is going to win day in, day out. But when you start looking at what the difference is in the price of the funds, when you're dealing with a $13 price on YMAX and you're dealing with a $53 price on WPAY, when you get all down to it, your income is actually higher with YMAX than it is with WPAY because you can buy more shares. You have more shares to deal with. So even though it's only about a $14 difference to it, we still go 100% into the income category of YMAX. So these things are very, very close to each other. They're very well balanced with each other. It really comes in, you could pick any one of these categories to make a decision, to make a call, who's the winner and who's not. Even though YMAX has 3 check marks and WPAY only has 2, I think if you give this thing another 30, 60, 90 days, we would be bouncing back and forth again. So the commentator review from YMAX versus WPAY. Well, YPAY being so new is very, very hard to do the comparison. So we need more time to give you a hardcore, what I call 100% true comparison between the two. But from what the information we have in front of us today, this commentator can give you a really good makeup. We like the makeup of WPAY with using weeklies versus the monthlies. That's giving you a little more trade action, should create you some more income each and every week. But when we look at the dividend yields, you see they are very close, but leaning towards YMAX's mostly. Because of the age, YMAX is showing that it has more ability right now to continue doing more with the work. But the bottom line is you cannot beat the total income. With income from YMAX being $115 and WPAY being $101, that $14 difference has to lean you to one way. So our winner in our eyes right now is still YMAX from YieldMax. We believe that this fund is still the one to be investing your money into while giving and holding money waiting for WPAY to show us the true colors, show us what they're really doing. Let's see them 6 months down the road and put them back into the boxing ring and see what we get from these two. A little more age, a little more experience will tell us, is WPAY going to continue to hold its positive gains, or is it going to turn around and lose what's going on? Personally, I am on the box that we're going to see WPAY lose a little bit. I think right now we're getting a lot of the excitement of everyone thinking this is going to be the next greatest fund that's out there. But I believe that down the road, YMAX is going to continue to hold where it's at. I don't see it really dropping too much more. I just think that the WPAY has got the excitement of the current investors. So our true winner right now is YMAX. Hey guys, it's Doug the Retirement Guy. I hope you like the video that we give you. If you do, hit that like button. If you're not a member, hit that subscribe. Leave your comments. Tell us what you guys think. Do you think YPAY is better than YMAX? And tell me why. Tell me what your difference is. Also, don't forget, you can always join Patreon to get all the backside support and also join and support the channel. We'll check you next time.